Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We've got a new partnership with Palantir and Concordance Healthcare. And it's not necessarily a new partnership, but it's an extension of a partnership they've had for a while, going back about a year or two now. Now, this partnership is really interesting because it highlights, again, Palantir's role in the healthcare sector. Shyam Sankar, the CTO of Palantir, has publicly said Palantir is the most underrated or undervalued healthcare startup in the world. And I think he's correct when he says that. Forbes and CNBC recently did journalistic pieces about a month ago, really investigating what Palantir's role is in healthcare. I mean, like 20-minute long articles. And from those pieces that I read, I did some videos on those a while ago, it seems like Palantir is really trying to do something unique in drug discovery and in overall managing the end-to-end supply chains when it comes to healthcare. Concordance is a really interesting company. We're going to read through a little bit of this press release and then watch a video that Palantir published a while ago talking about their partnership with Concordance that even I haven't watched since it's been so long. Concordance Healthcare Solutions, one of the largest independent healthcare distributors in the US, today announced the highly anticipated launch of Surgence, a healthcare supply chain ecosystem that fully connects providers, distributors, and suppliers by bringing unprecedented visibility to supply and demand information. That, to me, if you're a Palantir investor or have known Palantir for a long time, immediately sounds like Skywise. Skywise was a platform that connected the entire airline industry together and all the different variables that are rooted within managing an airplane and managing getting people from one country to another, the logistics, supply chains, all that stuff into one database, one common ontology that Palantir created in combination with Airbus. Now, this is not for every single, healthcare platform in the world. Concordance is a smaller healthcare system that manages other different healthcare administrations in regards to the entire world, right? They don't manage every single healthcare system, but Palantir working with them is exactly the same type of way that Palantir has worked with Skywise. Developed in partnership with Palantir Technologies, a leading builder of operating systems for the modern enterprise, Surgence, powered by Palantir's Foundry cutting-edge technology, aims to optimize the healthcare supply chain, ensuring the seamless flow of critical medical supplies and enhancing patient care. Essentially, making sure that if you need a needle, if you need this, if you need that, all of that stuff is available because Palantir has optimized the ability for healthcare administrations and hospitals to get everything they need in a timely manner. The healthcare supply chain plays a crucial role in delivering timely and efficient medical supplies to healthcare providers, but it often faces challenges such as a lack of visibility, inefficiencies, and disruptions. Surgence addresses these pain points by providing unprecedented visibility into true supply and demand of medical supplies accessible in real time, allowing members to take greater control and optimize their own supply chain while improving the accuracy and outlook for the future of machine-driven logic. Again, this is the future. This is how the world is going to work. Things are not going to be this inefficient. Things are not going to be that invisible because when you've got software that is able to connect the dots, then companies, healthcare systems, governments, NGOs, they're going to use it, right? Because it's kind of a no-brainer in terms of becoming more efficient. Concordance CEO says, "We are incredibly proud to unveil this groundbreaking healthcare system, which will revolutionize the healthcare supply chain by unifying providers, distributors, and suppliers. By integrating advanced technology, data-driven solutions, and collaborative partnerships, we aim to optimize the supply chain, ensure the availability of essential medical supplies, and ultimately improve patient care." Now, one quick note before we get into the video and kind of watch their partnership that they established, I think a year and a half ago, and now this is an extension of a broader ecosystem that they're making for overall end-to-end supply chains, is that this is exactly what Palantir is known to do within a specific industry. So when people say, Palantir only has 385 clients, it's like, correct. You're betting on a company that is able to grow clientele. And the way they grow clientele is they attack an entire industry, not just the client. So Concordance has a bunch of different hospitals underneath it. All of those hospitals are now using Palantir. Concordance is one client, but all of the hospitals that Concordance works with in terms of the supply chain for medical supplies are all using the same Palantir software. Airbus is one client, but all these different airlines and all these different subcontractors, manufacturers, logistics providers, etc., that are under Airbus are now using Palantir. And this is the exciting part of a company that's solving a problem for an industry. And what I believe fundamentally differentiates Palantir from all the other SaaS providers, which is that they may have thousands and thousands of clients, but those thousands of clients are just playing their software, and then boom, they're good to go, which is fine. That's a great business model. But to transform an entire organization or to transform an entire industry because of the product you're able to produce truly is revolutionary. And that's where I think the alpha is in terms of what a product can do for the world. Here is their partnership with Concordance, building life-saving supply chains for the healthcare industry.
Concordance wants to fix the fragmented healthcare supply chain. If you think about a nurse or a doctor bedside needing a product, And if they have to leave the patient's side to go search for that, that is time not spent providing patient care.
Fundamentally, suppliers, distributors, and caregivers do not function in isolation. They're part of a complex web of people and products that make life-saving care possible.
Today, the care system faces daily shortages of staff. Chronic conditions continue to rise. When it comes to supply chain disruption, hospitals and patients will always be the hardest hit.
The technology needed to solve these challenges needs to embrace that complexity. That's where we're using Foundry.
Concordance wants to reinvent the distribution landscape and what is expected of a healthcare distributor. We're using Palantir Foundry to build a digital healthcare ecosystem that can meet the unique and complex needs of an ever-changing healthcare industry. Our suppliers have always had visibility into what they are sending to distributors, though what happens to that product once it's received, they're much less aware of.
They may have products sitting in 200, 500, 1,000 different locations. If we can connect those two pieces of data, we can make better informed decisions so that the patient isn't affected, so that the healthcare worker does have product to take care of them.
And again, this is the big deal, right? If you're a healthcare supplier, you have thousands of different locations. If you're a nurse or you're someone who's ordering these different tools and you've got a patient, if you don't have the tools, that patient doesn't get taken care of. So the best healthcare facilities in the world have the supply in order to meet the demand. Well, their problem, at least what I'm getting from this video, is that there's a lot of fragmentation and segmentation in connecting all of the different medical supplies we need and all the different variables it takes to make sure that things communicate with one another in order to get that supply to fulfill the demand. And that's what it seems like Palantir in partnership with Concordance is trying to solve. And if that can make a hospital way more efficient, not only does that save more lives, but you could imagine that being scaled across hundreds and thousands of healthcare operating administrations or systems or hospitals across the entire world that could use what Palantir has done with Concordance and basically just license it to a bunch of different other areas that can use it.
The reason why we're reactive is because we don't have visibility. The lack of visibility also breeds a lack of trust. The ecosystem disrupts all of that. We can provide real-time data so that people can make actionable decisions. We're not waiting 30, 60, 90 days for that information to travel up and downstream. Once we really understood the power of Foundry, we quickly realized that this could be the solution for the entire industry.
We can assign a level of urgency to different critical back orders so they know which of these need to be fulfilled as a highest priority.
We can make sure we have verified and trusted sources in the platform, but also the right people have secure managed access to them at the right time and for the right purposes.
Our ultimate goal is to build and scale that capability to find solutions within the supply chain before there are disruptions.
There's no way we would have been able to build an ecosystem like this ourselves from the ground up. With Foundry, we're using the platform to build with it. We can tailor an existing proven product to our own vision for this integrated healthcare supply chain.
As we continue to build and entities bring ideas into the ecosystem, we expect that value to grow monumentally as we look into the future. This is more than just about creating a seamless and efficient process. It's about taking reactive decisions that are made today throughout the entire supply chain and turning them into proactive solutions. That has very real-world implications when we think about the individual patients that these products are used for.
Pretty amazing stuff. And again, that last quote I think is the most important. We could not build this on their own. We needed to use Foundry. And the reason they likely couldn't build it on their own is because they have a ton of data. They probably have some legacy IT systems that help them understand that data. But to actually have a data pipeline that creates an ontology that then creates insights from that ontology, not to mention all the artificial intelligence and machine learning that's required to create the predictive simulations and models, etc., it makes sense why they're building on top of Foundry. Foundry in and of itself, to me, when I think of it, is because it's especially cloud computing agnostic. It can work with AWS, GCP, Azure. It is kind of like an app store in terms of you plug it onto your existing cloud computing server and then you build stuff on top of it. And I've heard many CEOs talk about how they build on top of Foundry. They build in partnership with Foundry, which, what does that mean from a business perspective? It means they're not going to stop using it. It means that unless something goes catastrophic, a partnership with a software company means that partnership will continue to last, especially if all of your data is integrated through that partnership. Novartis CEO, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, said our drug discovery is going to be fueled with artificial intelligence because 5 years ago we created a data lake with Palantir. Our partners at Palantir was his exact quote. And now our data is in a common ontology in which we can help fuel it to be able to give us insights for drug discovery. That's not going to change. I mean, they're not going to take all that integration of data that they created and move to another software provider, especially if Palantir is doing a good job, but also because of how difficult it is to do. So to me, that land, expand, and scale strategy over the next 10 years, these are clients that likely are going to be lifelong clients as long as you keep doing the right thing for them. And it's just going to be really hard for them to leave. This is the bull case for why the government is likely not going to leave Palantir in a lot of different areas as well. So Concordance, end-to-end healthcare supply chain building platforms on top of Foundry, which is your base layer platform to actually be able to get data-driven insights. It makes a lot of sense. It hopefully leads us even closer to this NHS deal that we should be getting in a couple months, because given everything I've seen in the healthcare space at the intersection of technology, I cannot find another company, and I've done some research, but I cannot find another company that's doing what Palantir is doing in the healthcare space. How they're integrating data and how they're making hospitals and healthcare administrations more efficient. So ultimately, what's the bull case for this? That Palantir's in every hospital in the world. We power 10% or 13% of the beds in the United States. We should be powering every single bed in the world, given we have the most efficient software. It's just a question of if we're able to scale to that point. So those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think about Palantir's partnership with Concordance and their healthcare goals. Please make sure to subscribe to dailypalantir.com/subscribe, my email newsletter every day. I'll see you guys in the next one.